for today's story, we continue on with the dad and find out exactly how bad he is with improvising. Let's throw another log on the fire. So this story takes place a little bit after my Teacup the Bear story. And so the party has departed the palace of the Silver Princess and ventured into the lands of my dad's inconsistent and mediocre homebrew. The stars of this show are my cousin and his stubbornness, as well as this story being an example of my dad's inability to not railroad PCs when they don't do exactly what he planned. So a small amount of background. My cousin is incapable of playing only one character in an adventure. I have no idea what his fixation is, but my dad always allows him to play multiple characters, so I didn't even know it was considered bad practice until I started playing D&D with other people in college. In my cousin's defense, he was pretty decent at playing 2 to 3 characters. They never had a hive mind, and he managed to genuinely keep their conflicts of interest separate. So in this adventure, he was playing 3 characters, a chaotic good party-aligned character named Joey, and 2 secretly chaotic evil anti-party characters, the Thief brothers Cooper and Barnabas. My dad heavily encouraged PvP in his games, and so these characters are a shining example of this. They were hired by their thieves guild Skull and Daggers to kill the party and steal the treasure after the adventure. With surprisingly little metagaming, the party was able to uncover the ruse and chase off Cooper and Barnabas before they could succeed in their plans. Pro tip: rogues don't usually do well against clerics in one-on-one combat. So the party was split at this point, and alongside the main adventure, we could then explore a side adventure about Cooper and Barnabas dealing with their guild. No surprise, Skull and Daggers was very angry with them for failing their mission, and a punishment was in order before they could be let back into the guild. There were a few weeks between sessions, and my dad took the liberty to very giddily describe to me what he had planned for my cousin the next time we played. The guild leader would offer both of them 2 vague choices for punishments: 20 lashes or Horsey ride. Other NPC guild members would say things like, "Just pick the lashes, man, Horsey ride ain't worth it," and other cryptic things to make my cousin curious enough to pick it. What was Horsey ride, you ask? Since my dad's into humiliation, this Horsey ride consists of a halfling guild member knocking someone on their hands and knees, mounting them like a horse, and riding them around the guild while spanking them with a riding crop, with all the other guild members laughing and jeering. Again, my dad was all but shaking with excitement at the notion of doing this to my cousin's characters. So the session came around, the moment of truth. After chastising Cooper and Barnabas, the guild leader asked his question: 20 lashes or Horsey ride? My cousin's response: neither. My dad's jaw dropped. No joke. My cousin's characters went on to explain that the mission given to them was so outclassed that it was completely unreasonable to have expected them to succeed in the first place, that they almost lost their lives attempting to kill the party, and that alone should be punishment enough. He added that the guild was stupid and had unreasonable expectations, so they're not just going to sit there and accept a punishment they don't deserve. After a moment of speechlessness, instead of, rewarding my cousin for good roleplay, my dad doubled down and insisted my cousin must pick a punishment if he wanted the game to continue. My cousin refused, and they got into a bit of a back and forth. My dad was getting super upset that his perfect plan wasn't happening, and he demanded one last time that my cousin pick lashes or horsey ride. It went as you expected. So finally my dad just went through with the plan anyway. He described how my cousin's characters both felt something slam into the back of their knees, causing them to drop to the ground. They each felt themselves being mounted by a halfling, and my dad told my cousin that they were going to have to do 2 laps around the guild like that. Once again, my cousin said no, he isn't doing that, and in fact, they are going to stand up and leave the guild. My dad told my cousin to roll a Constitution saving throw. My cousin succeeded, so my dad had him roll another one, and had him keep rolling until he failed the roll. When he failed, my dad said something along the lines of, "You're in so much pain from being spanked, you shuffle forward 3 steps. Then he told my cousin to roll another saving throw. He failed, so he crawled 3 more steps forward in pain. My cousin was told to roll another saving throw, and another, and another, and another. This is how the rest of the session went. It took a grueling 30 or 40 minutes of repeated saving throws and spanking and whipping for my cousin to finally inch his way through his punishment by force, before we could finally be done with it and move on. I don't even remember the rest of the session after that. Also, of course, my dad had his signature poop-eating grin on his face the entire time. Next time, I'll probably talk about how my dad actually let my cousin kill my character once, but that's a story for another time. That just sounds like a painful session overall. I know that she said that her dad was more fun than her brother, but I think that this sounded way more boring in my opinion. If they weren't related, I don't think anyone would be able to sit through all of that. What do you all think about this situation?